Uber is getting a $3.5 billion investment from Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund. Morgan Ortagus is here, and she, by the way, was the Deputy U.S. Treasury Attaché in Saudi Arabia for several years, I think.
I was.
Lived there, worked there.
I was there working with the Saudi government to curb the illicit funding to al-Qaeda and other Sunni terrorist groups.
Now,
so you're welcome.
Thank you very much for your service.
Yeah.
Okay, now hold on a second.
Yeah.
The other financial broadcasters have looked at this investment from Saudi Arabia into Uber and said, well, it's going to value Uber at $62.5 billion. Oh, this is very interesting, largest private company in the world. I'm focusing on why did Saudi Arabia put money into Uber, which is a car service, when you can't drive as a woman in Saudi Arabia?
So Uber already exists in Saudi, and about 80% of the users in Saudi are women, of course, because they can't drive.
80% of the users of Uber are women?
In Saudi Arabia, of course. So because right now, before Uber came to Saudi, the families were having to pay individuals, to drive the wife, the children around because they couldn't do that for themselves. So think about taking the kids to school or soccer practice. The family literally has to employ someone to do that. So Uber offers up more opportunities for women to get themselves around Saudi, since apparently we're far too fragile to drive ourselves.
Now, is this the new Saudi Arabia?
I think
trying to change? I mean, in a sort of a very backdoor, oblique way.
I think more likely it's just a smart investment for them. I mean, consider, of course, the price of oil where it is. It's risen 90% in the past few months, but it's still a low price of oil for them. Estimates on the break-even oil price of a barrel for them could be $80, $90, $95 a barrel, depending on who the analyst is. So they're almost half of what they need to not have a deficit. So I think what they're looking at is it's not going to happen overnight, autonomous vehicles that Google and the car companies are working on, but over time demand for gasoline is going to get lower and lower for automobiles. So I think they're looking at a future investment for the country.
I've got to get this one on real fast. Sure. 3 Syrians arrested in Germany in connection with an ISIS terror plot. You know something about this. My point would be that this really changes European politics, this kind of terror arrest. You got 30 seconds.
Well, not only the Syrians, but look at what's happening with Italy and the Libyans. The Libyan coastline and the Italian coastline are separated by a very small part of the Mediterranean. Until the civil wars in Syria and Libya have some sort of conclusion, Europe is going to continue to battle with this problem because they have porous borders, they can go back and forth, and Iraq.
But it's splitting their politics.
This is why in 2011, me and plenty of people like John McCain said, we can't ignore this. The problem is not going to go away. We can close our eyes, but the civil wars there will affect Europe and in turn affect the U.S. until it's
dramatically so.
Yeah.
Morgan Ortagus, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for the information on Saudi Arabia.
You saved the best for last, right?
Absolutely.